Please remain standing as Reserve Chaplain Jacob Wild from McConnell Air Force Base offers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for the gift of this beautiful day and the opportunity we have to enjoy this race at Kansas Speedway. We also thank you for those who have dedicated their time and efforts to make this event possible. Please protect from injury each driver and crew member who compete in this race, and may all who participate be reminded of the true gift of life and the health that you have granted us. Finally, Lord, we ask that you be with the servicemen and women across the globe who are defending this nation and its freedoms. For this we ask in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Here tonight to honor America with the performance of our national anthem, please welcome Gander, Kansas Police Officer Justin Weathers.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? In a handbasket.
Thank you, Caitlin. 13 miles from Kansas City, Missouri, just across the state line here in the plains of the Midwest, sits this gem of a racetrack, Kansas Speedway, site of tonight's race in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. 18-year-old Harrison Burton hopes to add his name to the 5 who've claimed their first career win here. His team, Kyle Busch Motorsports, has won the last 3 in Kansas. Can Burton continue the role? Matt Crafton was once considered master of the mile and a half, a 9-time winner on the intermediates. Veteran is back up front, starts from the pole looking for his 3rd Kansas win. Brett Moffitt has yet to grab a victory here, but that could change tonight. The reigning series champ has been runner-up twice this season. The 24 has speed again. He'll be one to beat. Johnny Sauter knows the role of favorite. The former champ won last week. He has a Kansas victory on his resume as well, but Sauter has work ahead of him tonight after qualifying 12th. The list of hopefuls runs deep, and with a couple of other candidates, here's our pit reporters, beginning with Hermie Sadler.
Well, Vince, if you need any kind of proof at all that the Truck Series is the series of opportunity, look no further than this 45 truck of Ross Chastain, Nice Motorsports. Look at so far this year, 6 consecutive top 10 finishes to start this season. They've been flying under the radar, but getting it done each and every week. Now they come to the racetrack very, very confident. They were fast in practice. Ross was the first truck digging around the high side of this racetrack. Don't be surprised to see Ross Chastain in victory lane tonight. Alan?
Hermie, Ben Rhodes comes into tonight looking for some redemption. That's because he and this track have some history. Remember this from just 2 years ago. Ben Rhodes was leading this race at the time, still looking for his first career win, and his engine let go, ruining his chance at getting that first career victory, leading to a lot of frustration, a lot of emotion, maybe even some tears that night. But he comes back to this track with confidence. He needs some speed, but he told me they were just one adjustment away from having a winning truck. He'll need to make that adjustment. He starts 14th tonight.
Well, thanks a lot, Alan. And there are certainly many drivers that believe tonight could be their night. Great to have you with us here. Race number 7 of the season with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. You know, history says here at Kansas, you better start up toward the front. In fact, every single winner in the previous 18 have started from a top 10 position. But Phil, there's a couple of big names outside the top 10 tonight. Who's got a shot from outside the 10 that could win tonight?
Well, Vince, there's no way that our winner from last week, Johnny Sauter, is outside the top 10. I mean, he's won on this racetrack, as you mentioned before. He's won 10 times on the mile and a halfs here in the Truck Series. But he's starting 12th. He's not going to be in that top 10. And along with him, another guy that's one of our favorites, I think, probably the most consistent guy we've had all year long. He has the best average finish of anybody this year in the Truck Series. He's won on a mile and a half before in his career as well. That's Grant Enfinger, Johnny Sauter's teammate at Thorsport. He's got 2 career wins. Again, one of those at Las Vegas last year on the mile and a half, and he's starting back in 13th. I don't think that the streak will be broken. I don't think these guys will be able to win. I don't think they'll be able to overcome that starting position, and I think our winner is going to come outside or inside the top 10, Michael.
Well, a couple of guys you might want to look at getting the win tonight have never won before. Tyler Ankrum starts up on the front row. Really good run last week at Dover, has to bring in a lot of confidence. And Sheldon Creed back in the 9th position. Just last week at Dover, Sheldon led 59 laps and was in contention to win late in the race when he lost control of his truck down on the inside, racing for a position in the top 5. Around he goes, and he hits the inside wall. Contact there. That was Ankrum slipping through the middle there. He suffered some damage. As you see him doing an excellent job of avoiding the spinning 2 truck. He suffered some damage but was able to persevere and fight through and get a top 10 finish. Those two together, guys, they have 20 starts between them. Matt Crafton on the front row, 437 tonight. So they've got an inexperience deficit, but man, they're fast and they can overcome it here.
Well, Kyle Busch Motorsports has won the last 3 here at Kansas. You've got Brandon Jones, Riley Herbst, Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland. Who do you like out of that group?
I like Todd Gilliland, the lap tracker, which averages every single lap in the last practice session, showed him right near the top.
Brandon Jones, charge him from the back.
He gets is indeed. He'll start 21st tonight. Let's get that command and fire those engines.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome tonight's Grand Marshal from the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office, Major Daniel Soptic.
Drivers, start your engines.
Getting ready to get busy here at Kansas Speedway. Going to create some more racing memories. Kansas Speedway, a perfect setting for fast speeds and close racing.
Problems coming into turn 4.
Go low.
What a dramatic finish.
Yes, sir. Yeah, go for it.
Do you hear that? There's a storm coming, but not one of rain or wind or fire.
First pace car rolling.
Do you hear that? There's a storm coming, but not one of rain or wind or fire. It's a storm created by us. The thunder of engines, the wind of passing sheet metal, a cloud of smoke from burnt rubber. It's here. Take cover. And for those who navigate the storm, come the spoils of victory. So buckle up, because we're at Kansas Speedway, and I hear thunder.
Yeah, a lot of weather watchers in this area tonight. The weather is fine, but we got something else for you to watch. The Gander Outdoors Truck Series here at Kansas Speedway. 4th time on the 1.5 mile tracks this season, and we are ready to roll. Looking forward to it tonight with the Gander Outdoors track description.
You can see 1.5 miles, Vince. The corners are progressively banked from 17 to 20 degrees. Pretty flat back straightaway. Good racing action through the tri-oval. This track, it should just say racy. These boys are going to be racing from the wall to the apron. A lot of good action here at Kansas.
Yeah, let's take a look at our race analysis. This race will be running 3 stages. It's 167 laps overall, 250 miles. One of our longest races of the year. You see stage 1 will end at lap 40, stage 2 at lap 80. Then the final stage will be 87 laps, which means we will have a pit stop in that final stage. Our pit window somewhere between 50-55 laps, and Noah Gregson swept it here last year.
Matt Crafton won pole earlier today in qualifying, and you'll see his name along with the others in the starting lineup as our grid will be seen on the bottom of the screen. And got a couple of nice onboard looks for you tonight, including Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Johnny Sauter. This is the 10 to Ford, and Johnny is going to start back in the 12th position. And let's ask him about that and see what he says. Hey, Johnny Sauter, Phil Parsons and the boys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Johnny, you can make history here tonight. I know you've won at this racetrack. You've been in the top 5 the last 2 years, but this race has never been won by somebody starting outside of the top 10. You're starting 12th. How are you going to do that?
Never bet against history. So we've had our work cut out for us today with our 10 to Ford F-150, and you know, just kind of a balanced deal where we've been a little bit too loose, a little bit too tight, but the boys will work hard on it tonight, and anything's possible. This racetrack's pretty wide. There's a lot of places, a lot of options to go race. So we'll work on it, see what we got. And I like making history. That'd be pretty cool.
Johnny got a lot of confidence in you. I think you can do it, buddy. Have a good ride.
10-4, thank you.
Phil, you said a minute ago he couldn't.
Well, I was talking to Johnny, though. You want me to tell him that?
What about this onboard camera with Harrison Burton in the Safe Light Auto Glass Toyota? Check it out. Wow. He's got the visor cam on. If you're at home, this is exactly what it feels like to be behind the wheel of one of these trucks. You're going to see the bumps. You're going to see him slipping and sliding. What a great view. Thank you, Harrison, for carrying our visor cam. That's really cool.
Let's hear from a couple of the crew chiefs, and we'll begin with our pit reporter, Alan Cavana.
And I'm with Matt Crafton's crew chief, Junior Joyner. Matt has started every single race here, and he has won twice. Why will his experience be important tonight?
I think it's important every week, you know. Seat time, laps are good. He's just he's one of the guys you want behind the wheel when the money's on the line. So I'm just proud of all these guys at Thor Sport Racing back at the shop. Hard fab, finish fab, body shop. These guys sitting next to me, everybody's been working hard, and it's starting to show. Be real sweet to win one on Mother's Day. You know, I lost my mom a couple weeks ago, and our owner, Rhonda Thorson, she lost hers as well. So we know we got a couple real good angels looking down on us. So I think we got that on our side, too.
It's a special weekend, Hermie.
Doug Randolph is the crew chief for the 2 of Sheldon Creed. a little bit of contact with the Wild in second practice. How confident are you that you've got your driver fixed up with a shot to win tonight?
Well, the guys did a great job fixing this piece back up, and Sheldon's been doing a really good job highlighting the speed in this GMS Chevrolet. So we just need to be smart all night long, be patient, and get to the end of the race, execute all night, and we'll get the finish we need.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Coming to green this time around, but before they get to green to get started, let's take a look at the playoff standings as we enter this race tonight. We've had Johnny Sauter, winner last week. Austin Hill, the season opener at Daytona, clinched a spot in the playoffs. Remember, only the top 8 have a chance to run for the title.
That means some good guys are going to be left out of the playoffs, and nobody on this page wants to be one of those guys.
Getting ready to go green, Vince. What I'm going to watch early on this start is those guys down on the inside. Their trucks will be loose early in this run. Can they keep control and not slide up the racetrack?
We've raced in the trucks every year here since 2001. Ricky Hendrick won the very first race here at Kansas Speedway. Tonight, it's race number 19 here in Kansas. Matt Crafton from the pole has chosen the outside line. The green flag waves, and we're racing at Kansas. Ankrum in the middle of 3 wide. First turn, 4 wide now in turn 1.
How about Ross Chastain jumping to the outside of Brett Moffitt? That's the white and green truck for Ross Chastain.
Crafton still trying to get an edge at the front, but it's Harrison Burton being stingy to give up the spot. Finally, Crafton gets it, and Chastain coming with him on the outside.
Somebody up against the wall there.
What a start for Chastain, huh? That had Ross Chastain written all over it, though. We know how much he goes for it, and he showed that on this start. Oh, is he in the wall?
Looked like he was. That was actually Ben Rhodes that got in the wall off of turn number 4.
Yeah, and Chastain slowing down and dropping positions. Moffitt, meanwhile, up side by side with Burton for second. Looked like Chastain had a problem.
Ben, sometimes when you go for it, you pass trucks, and other times you nearly hit the wall. And Chastain went high in turn 1, nearly got the wall, lost his momentum, but he settled in now.
Watch Chastain. It's a close call, keeps it clean, but it was up and out of the groove for sure.
And that's a great sign, Phil, for our racing tonight. If you can go all the way up in the dust near the wall and keep control of your truck, that tells you how many grooves are out there.
Moffitt and Friesen now side by side from second. Great view out the front windshield of Harrison Burton.
Great battle for the second spot between teammates.
Quarter top now outside.
I think that was Harrison Burton's spotter talking about Ross Chastain being on the outside.
Friesen now gets second from Moffitt. A couple of teammates.
Is that Enfinger already up to the top 5? One of those guys started outside of the top 10?
Enfinger started 13th, and he is 5th.
That's impressive.
Enfinger, the best average finish of any of the championship drivers this season.
Look at this run by Creed. A lot of momentum off turn 4. He goes down off the racing surface onto the apron, trying to make that pass on Johnny Sauter.
How about that move that Enfinger's made, Hermie? Oh, let's
Yeah, Vince, the 98 of Enfinger. You mentioned how much work he had been doing since the drop of the green flag, and he's one of the guys that told me earlier this morning that this racetrack had much more fall off than it had in the past. So he felt like early in a run on new tires and restarts would be critical before the tires got some laps on them, and he's showing that right now all the way already up to the 5th position, Vince.
Very strong out of the gate.
Another strong run for Harrison Burton early. Lost a couple of spots on that start, Phil, but I like the way he was able to run through the center of 1 and 2 down low and make some ground.
Good shot of teammates there from Thorsport. That's Johnny Sauter, the 13 on the left. That's Ben Rhodes. We're looking out the back window of Johnny Sauter's truck at.
Each have moved up a position or two, running 10th and 11th from where they started. Sauter winner last week at Dover.
Just slightly out of the throttle for just an instant, and then right back in that throttle hard.
I talked to a couple of the guys down in the garage area, Phil, particularly Grant Enfinger. He said, as we hear Sauter rolling out of it into 3, and off of 4. He set about 2 or 3 laps wide open through turns 1 and 2, maybe 5 or 6 and 3 and 4. More sweeping, a smoother corner down there, but definitely working that throttle on and off all night long.
Infinger chasing Ross Chastain for 4th. Infinger on the bottom, Chastain up top, and that's one of the great aspects of this racetrack. As you can see, drivers all over the racetrack taking their trucks wherever they need to go, and Friesen for the lead on Matt Crafton.
Is he going to be able to clear him? He's not going to be able to clear him.
Watch Crafton with this side draft down the front straightaway, chases Friesen down the hill and retains the lead.
Crafton had led just 4 laps all season coming into tonight. He's led the first 8 here this evening, but he is under siege by Stuart Friesen.
He's under attack right now, isn't he?
And right behind them, Brett Moffitt's watching this battle side by side and gaining ground, knowing this is a great opportunity for him to catch those two while they race side by side.
Crafton said earlier today their mile-and-a-half program just hasn't been as good as it's needed to be, but they have seen an uptick this year. And Crafton has the speed to win the pole earlier today and fighting off Stuart Friesen now for the lead. And Brett Moffitt is coming with him.
You heard the spotter say clear. Quick, quick, quick.
All right, hit your marks.
Friesen has taken over.
And that's a power move, Vince. If you can go to the bottom of the racetrack and pass another truck and clear him like we saw Friesen do, that means you've got a really sporty truck. I like a truck early in this race that can handle down on the bottom. You can use the top as an option, but I want to primarily concentrate on the bottom.
Austin Hill and that 16 truck getting around Tyler Ankrum. That's for 8th.
Riding along with Johnny Sauter.
Now Moffitt starting to pressure Crafton a little bit for 2nd.
A lot of the drivers and the crew chiefs thought that the high side would be the preferred way around. Michael, you talked about in the track description how this progressive banking has a little more banking, a little more speed up top here. That's what a lot of the crew chiefs were talking about, but Stuart Friesen sure made the bottom work on that pass for the lead.
How about our leader, Alan?
Yeah, it took about 10 laps for him to go from 10th to 1st. They are feeling good on the 52 radio right now. You know, we say it every week. He has the most career second place finishes without getting that victory. 5 times that has happened. The truck you're looking at, the same truck he had in Texas, where he finished 2nd. Looking for that first win, guys.
Just a matter of time for Stuart Friesen to get that victory. But oh, he will cherish it after being so close so many times. Sauter moving up now to 8th.
3 wide around the top, Vince. Johnny Sauter used that top groove at Dover to grab the lead late. He's working in here too in Kansas.
Ben Rhodes cracking the top 10 as he battles Tyler Ankrum for that 10th spot. Each nudging ahead of the other one and then back and forth.
That's good stuff right there. Look at Creed. Is there room to merge, Phil?
I think so.
You know, we talked about 3 wide, 3 different lanes. We're seeing it right there, but we didn't count the lane under the white line.
Yeah, you can go out of bounds here at Kansas to make some traction, and that's exactly what we saw Creed do there.
Matt Crafton in that neon yellow led the first 8 laps tonight before Stuart Friesen took over the top spot. Close call there between Creed and Ankrum.
Big time wiggle for Creed there.
15 laps into this one here in Kansas. Going to take a break, but we'll be side by side. You won't miss a lap. Going to keep on trucking.
Drive.
You've been watching it. Johnny Sauter down on the inside with a definite problem and headed to pit road.
I'm not sure he's going to get to pit road here. He's not quite into turn number 3.
Chatter on the radio was something was wrong under the hood. Is that what we heard?
He's not. He doesn't believe it's the engine right now. Something in the drivetrain. He's saying clutch or drive shaft. They're just trying to make it back to pit road so they can assess what the issue is.
Well, trouble for sure that is going to alter Johnny Sauter's night, even if they can possibly get it running and back out.
Man, that sounded like a broken gear or
gear or transmission. Yeah, I think gear or transmission is what it sounded more like to me.
Sauter limping onto pit road, still not into his pit box. You see on the left-hand side of your screen, that's Matt Crafton in the 88, Brett Moffitt in the 24. That is for second. Stuart Friesen is really starting to stretch the legs. He's out almost a 3.5 second advantage.
And if you're Matt Crafton, you're just thinking, I wish Brett Moffitt would go away. He's just contesting him at just about every turn for that spot. Moffitt's going to do anything but go away. He's going to get that spot, or at least he thinks he is.
He's certainly worrying to death, isn't he?
Yes.
And you see Sauter on the right-hand side going to the garage.
Good thing he has that win under his belt, already qualified for the playoffs.
And you said, Phil, outside the top 10, he wouldn't do it tonight.
No.
And
one of our major
unfortunately,
contenders, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's over early for Johnny Sauter. Meanwhile, Brett Moffitt continues to hound Matt Crafton. Crafton won the pole earlier today in qualifying, first pole of the season. Moffitt now to the bottom. 16 to go here in the opening stage of the Gander Outdoors Truck Series in Kansas.
Brett's saying, come on, Matt. Give me a break. There's a big dive into turn 3. Can he keep it low and make the pass?
The sound he wants to hear is clear. That's what he's looking to hear, and I think he got it.
Close the door for second. Moffitt in position.
Let's take a look at the tracker. He sees about a little bit over 4 seconds behind. Now that he has some clean racetrack, if Matt Crafton doesn't get back underneath him and get by him, let's see if he can cut that deficit he has right now.
Caution is out. Turn 4. The 51 of Brandon Jones.
Man, that was a strong start to this race for Jones. He had just run his fastest lap of the race a lap before, Phil, and so that truck was really coming to him. We saw him really loose in qualifying and felt like that would be an advantage when this race started, running some really solid lap times. He was up to 13th. You can see she just steps out on him, but that's a fast truck. If he can get back to the pits without doing any more damage to the truck or any damage, I think he can contend tonight.
He did a great job of keeping that truck out of the outside wall by nailing that throttle.
That's for sure. It could have been much worse.
You can see he's limping back, that right rear tire flat, so he doesn't want to do more damage to the truck.
He's better off giving up a lap if he has to make sure he doesn't tear all the bodywork up on that truck.
Having to go all the way around, so limping at a slow pace for sure. Matt Crafton led the first 8 laps tonight, and Stuart Friesen then took the lead and has led the 18 since. Friesen showing plenty of speed. And that 22 of Austin Wayne Self doesn't sound so good under the hood either.
A lot of stuff going on here in this last lap or two.
Well, that's for sure. Stuart Friesen, he didn't want to see the yellow. He was out walking the dog. Stuart Friesen out front in Kansas. Tonight, the trucks. Tomorrow night, the Monster Energy Cup Series right here at Kansas Speedway. It all begins with race day at 7 o'clock Eastern. The race to follow just after 7:30. Dominating performance from Stewart Haas Racing. The top 4 qualifiers, including Kevin Harvick and Eric Almirola on the pole.
Another strong performance from Hendrick Motorsports as well. 3 of their 4 drivers up inside the top 10, so their momentum continues.
Austin Wayne Self, as we noted, didn't sound good when he came by the start-finish line right underneath us here, and he has gone to the garage. Johnny Sauter to the garage as well. And we're ready to go back racing after the yellow that was brought out by Brandon Jones. Stuart Friesen on the outside. Moffitt and Friesen side by side with 11 to go here in stage 1.
Watch that green and white truck of Ross Chastain. We saw what he did on the initial start. He's able to pick up a couple spots there as well.
Yeah, Ben Rhodes has done the same thing. He's in that black truck right behind Matt Crafton now.
Did have some take advantage of that caution and come to pit road. The farthest up running, farthest to the front runner was the 16 truck of Austin Hill, who pitted from 8th.
That opens up the playbook because I think they could make it to the end of the second stage if they would choose to do that.
Moffitt and Friesen still side by side, and Chastain took a peek on the outside, trying to make it 3 wide, but has backed off. And there's Enfinger in 4th. Crafton, his teammate, right behind him in 5th.
I really wanted to see how much Brett Moffitt could gain on Stuart Friesen. Looks like now he has him cleared. Then the caution came out right as soon as he grabbed second place. Now he's got the lead.
Moffitt becomes our 3rd leader of the night.
I just like this 98 truck early in the going, guys. We know how good Grant Enfinger is on the mile and a half. You talked about it in the opening, Phil, and that truck just seems to get better and better each week. He comes to pit road, they make the right adjustment, he gets more speed. As you see Tyler Ankrum there battling alongside Jordan Anderson. Ankrum went to pit road. Now look at this. As soon as Moffitt grabs the lead, on the bottom goes Friesen.
Friesen right back to the front.
You talk about the draft is really big with these trucks. They punch such a big hole in the air, and again they're running almost wide open. It looks like Grant Enfinger who's going to try to take a look at the outside of Moffitt.
Moffitt lost some momentum there. I don't know if he slipped or what happened, but he lost momentum off turn 4.
That was a good corner for him there.
Moffitt 2nd, Enfinger 3rd, Ross Chastain right behind him in 4th.
Take a look at the pylon left side of your screen. You can see Austin Hill now already back up into the top 10, racing along with the 4 truck of Todd Gilliland inside that top 10, racing for 8th. Now all the way up to 7th for Austin Hill.
That's impressive to be able to run back through this field so quickly.
Ben Rhodes and Todd Gilliland now side by side for 8th. Gilliland there in that 4 truck trying to close the door on Rhodes, and does. Meanwhile, Enfinger continuing to pressure Brett Moffitt. But those ThorSport trucks looking sporty again. Obviously, Sauter had his problems, but Enfinger, Crafton, and Rhodes all in the top 10. All 4 of those trucks finished in the top 6 last week at Dover. Of course, Sauter the winner.
And 3 races in a row, they've all been inside the top 10, right?
Yeah, and the talk in the garage area today was about the ThorSport truck. So, you know, a lot of times we talk about Kyle Busch Motorsports and GMS, but I think the tide has sort of turned in favor of ThorSport. Those trucks are consistently the fastest on the track this year.
Well, those GMS trucks out front right now and looking like they've got plenty of speed with Friesen and Moffitt. And Sheldon Creed in that 2 truck part of that group as well.
And don't forget the 45 of Ross Chastain. They get chassis from GMS Fabrication and some body work as well. So they're also involved with GMS.
Impressive run for the youngster out of Las Vegas there, Riley Herbst. He's down on the bottom in that Monster Energy number 46 truck. He's got some great speed.
Made 4 starts last year in the Truck Series, and this is his first Truck Series start this year. He'll make 3 others, and has a couple of Xfinity Series starts this year. Had a 9th place showing at Richmond, 15th last week at Dover in the Xfinity cars.
Trying to heat up Ben Rhodes there in the 99 for a spot inside the top 10.
How difficult is it, Mike, when you only get a few options, or a few opportunities, a handful of chances in the truck or in any discipline that you're dealing with?
Well, it's great when you have equipment like he has to make those starts in, Vince. You learn so much more quickly. You're able to share notes with your teammates. Listen to boss Kyle Busch tell you about the world and the trucks and how it's supposed to go. I just love when these kids show up and prove that they've got the ability to compete and contend right off the bat.
Iowa, Canada, and Talladega, the other 3 starts scheduled for Riley Herbst. Herbst giving that 46 Tundra a good run tonight.
You know, I talked about Tyler Ankrum in that 17 truck just behind Herbst there in the opening about having a chance to run up and win this race. He started on the front row field, but he fell back quickly. They made a pit stop, and I like the adjustments they made on this truck, but he's trying to thread the needle. What a move there.
Ankrum right up the gut, and he's going to get the spot from Herbst. Some anxious moments certainly for all 3 as Austin Hill and Matt Crafton now exchange positions. Hill into the 5th spot.
How about that?
Less than 2 to go here in this first stage, so the pits are closed, and Friesen will be coming to the line. 1 lap remaining here in stage 1.
That's a great indication of how those tires matter for that 16 truck of Austin Hill. This is a battle for the last point-paying position here in stage 1.
And it's also a statement by young Ankrum to say, I've got this truck tuned up now. I think I can do something with these guys.
Burton and Gilliland, a couple of KBM teammates for 7th.
And here comes company. Watch Sheldon Creed sweeps by Burton and tries to grab that spot.
And Stuart Friesen will win stage 1. Who's going to get those other point-paying spots here in the initial stage at Kansas? Ankrum gets the 10th and final position. First stage win of the season for Stuart Friesen. The sun is setting, the lights are on, and the gas is full throttle for Stuart Friesen at Kansas.
What about Jordan 8?
Stuart Friesen dominated from the front of stage 1 and gets his first stage win of the season. Harrison Burton not so pleased with finishing 9th in that stage. Yeah, Burton was up there at the front during particular portions of it. Ended up 9th, and those points, those stage points, all so important, especially when you're battling for a playoff position. You see the point allotment through stage 1. Wonder why Burton would be so upset. He's right now sitting in that 8th and final playoff position, so he knows the significance of every single point.
And it's tight down there too, Vince.
It is. You know, when you look at the playoff standings, Burton and Todd Gilliland, 2 KBM teammates, 8th and 9th, and the cutoff line right between them.
Seems like the 88 truck may be having a fuel issue, maybe a fuel pickup issue. Staying down on the flat of the racetrack, not getting up on the banking. Trying to wiggle that truck to keep fuel over by the pickup, which is in the right rear corner.
He's fallen to the 6th position after sitting on the pole and leading early. So Junior Joyner and those crew guys need to have a great pit stop and make the right adjustments. And that's a bit of a difficult task, Phil. If you want to put a wrench in the truck to do a wedge adjustment or track bar, anything you do,
it takes too much time.
Yeah, so do you just do it with air pressure? And Alan, are they close enough, or what are they reporting on that 88 truck?
Well, right now he's just radioing in saying he's below 20 pounds of fuel pressure and just keeps shutting off. You can see him moving back and forth, going down in the apron, trying to get fuel over in that pickup. Looks like he's rolling now, but certainly an issue they have to deal with coming to pit road here.
That's nowhere near the pit window that you talked about earlier, Phil, in our...
No, but we had our pace laps, and then, you know, we're within probably 7 laps without the pace laps of being on the early side of the pit window. So, you know, more than likely he has fuel in that truck, but it's not all getting to the pickup probably.
The free pass will go to the 51 of Brandon Jones, so that'll put Jones back on the lead lap. And as they are on pit road, and we'll look for the 98 of Grant Infinger into the box, and Hermie Sadler will be there.
Grant Infinger in the 98 is our points leader. 3rd coming down pit road. The truck is a 2 tight, will not turn in the center. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Alan?
Everything going well for the 52 in the middle of your screen of Stuart Friesen, leading much of this race. He says his biggest issue is just on restarts. 4 tires and fuel for the 52. On the bottom of your screen, Brett Moffitt in the 24, making a big adjustment on the track bar. Says the splitter is just too far down on the track. 4 tires and an air adjustment for 24, Brett Moffitt.
Creed first one off. Hill, Ankrum, Dipple.
Friesen losing 6 spots there. Some differing strategy with the 2 tire and no tire stops.
He lost a couple spots to the guys that are on the same strategy as him, changing 4 tires.
Let's see if we can get a word with Stuart Friesen. Hey, Stuart, it's Michael Waltrip and the boys in the Fox booth. Do you copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you started 10th and drove straight to the front. I don't guess losing a few spots on pit road's going to hurt anything, is it?
I certainly hope not. Trip and the boys gave me a great Silverado here. This thing's a badass, so hopefully we can claw our way back up there. I just love racing on this racetrack. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it reminds me of dirt racing. You guys are all the way out next to the outside wall and down on the bottom as well. Many grooves out there. It's got to be a lot of fun. It looks like it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, hopefully you can get back up there. The Silverado's been fast. Thanks to everybody at Chevy and Halmar. And got to always give a shout out to our modified fans back home in the Northeast in New York and Southern Ontario. I appreciate all the support.
Right on. You heading up north and doing a little dirt racing this weekend, bud?
You know it. Honda Speedway tomorrow night, and then Tuesday we go to Albany, Saratoga for a makeup show. So we'll be busy.
All right. Have fun the rest of the night. Good luck.
10-4. Thank you.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, it's good stuff under the lights tonight for Friesen. Burton trying to make his way toward the front as well.
It's a golf match.
Well, can't wait for this. Next month, the U.S. Open. Tiger Woods returns to Pebble Beach, site of his most dominant major victory. Brooks Koepka looking to make history as he attempts to capture his 3rd straight championship. The U.S. Open begins June 13th on Fox, FS1, and the Fox Sports app. I guess I should whisper when I do that.
Yeah, Vince.
Read that promo.
How about that intimidating number 18 hole? Par 5. A lot of those guys try to avoid that big tree in the middle of the fairway and go for it too.
The 99, thank you, Mike. The 99 at Ben Rhodes coming back down pit road. He had a speeding penalty, too fast exiting on his previous stop.
Even repairing the damage from lap number 1. We saw him bounce off the wall coming off of turn 4 on lap number 1.
And Phil, you know what a sensitive area of the truck that is. That's what the truck leans on for its aerodynamic downforce. NASCAR will probably take a look at that and make sure we didn't get too carried away with the repairs.
That looks better right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone.
Now it doesn't look better anymore.
No, it doesn't look better.
By the way, we saw some differing pit strategies coming out of that pit stop as those trucks were exiting pit road. 2 tires, no tires, etc. Fill us in, Hermie.
Yeah, Vince, the 2 of Sheldon Creed got 2 tires on lap 26. That made him too loose. They came back down pit road, got the 2 lefts, adjusted the truck. He should be good to go. The 16, Austin Hill down on the inside. He got 4 tires on lap 26. Came back down pit road this time. Said he had a vibration. They just hit all the lugs to make sure they were tight, but no tires this time for the 16.
Which makes sense. You saw the 2 and the none because they had previously stopped under the Brandon Jones caution. And meanwhile, that Johnny Sauter team continues to work in the back.
See, that's a broken input shaft on that transmission. That goes through the clutch into the back of the crankshaft, and that's broke.
Stage 2 in Kansas underway. Creed on the outside, Austin Hill inside, and look at Grant Infinger making it 3 wide down low, and Friesen coming with him on the bottom.
These guys don't waste any time getting with it, do they? What a great restart that was.
Austin Hill won the season opener at Daytona, piloting that 16 truck. Sheldon Creed, last year's ARCA champ, in the 2 truck, and Grant Infinger coming to the front.
Grant trying to take advantage of those 4 fresh tires versus the 2 tires on the 2 truck of Creed.
Oh, look at Austin Hill. He took the block from Infinger, didn't press the issue, and look at how much ground it lost him. What a big block it was by Infinger, and Hill unfortunately lost all of his momentum.
Michael, I think it takes almost a lap to get the momentum back when you lose it like that.
Sheldon Creed in the front led 59 laps last week, finished top 3 in both stages before being involved in an accident, ended up finishing 27th, looking for so much more tonight.
Look at Gus Dean with that big run in the 12 truck to the outside. Nice move there. Racing for a spot inside the top 10.
Chastain past Infinger for second. How about Ross Chastain? Just continues to get it done week after week after week. The only driver to finish top 10 in every race this season, and he's in the 2nd spot, while Austin Hill moves on Gilliland for 8th.
We've talked about the job that Nice Motorsports has done. Al Nice put a lot of heart and soul into this sport, and he's finally reaping the benefits, having True North on board that truck and having Ross give that truck a heck of a ride.
You can see there the Mobil 1 truck just ahead, able to clear Tyler Ankrum. Harrison Burton looks forward, sees his teammate Todd Gilliland, and look at Chastain continue to battle
for the lead. Chastain inside, Sheldon Creed outside, and Creed trying to shut the door, and there's a spinner, and it's the 54 of Natalie Decker.
Wow, look at the damage, the transition from pavement to grass did to that truck.
She was having a solid run too, very competitively inside the top 20. She was 16th, but her chances of finishing in the top 20 now are over.
Meanwhile, Creed and Chastain, neither one of them are wanting to give the other one the advantage, even though we're under caution. No, I was in front.
Yeah.
No, you were.
And NASCAR will tell them which one was in front.
That was so stupid. What happened?
What happened? Well, we're about to show you. Natalie Decker inside, and that's the 0-2 of Tyler Dipple.
Phil, we talked at the start of this broadcast about how difficult it is to keep control of your truck when you're down on the bottom. It just got loose. No air on that right rear fender because of the outside.
Watch this damage right here.
Traffic, and then bam.
Wow.
Look at that contact. It's frustrating that you can be taken out by just having the air taken away from your spoiler. That's exactly what happened to her there.
We saw the same thing happen last week at Dover to Sheldon Creed. He, as you mentioned, led 59 laps of that race. Wow, what a ride that was for Natalie.
Man, just dug into the earth, and big time damage, putting it into the night for Natalie Decker.
She got it headed back in the right direction, but unfortunately just a bad angle there to the grass.
It's a big hit as it comes back down. Frustrating for Natalie Decker. Started 15th tonight, and as you guys noted, was running 16th at the time. And there's a good look at some of that underneath damage for the 54 of Natalie Decker, driving for DGR Crossley. That 13 truck still in the garage. Team continuing to work. Alan?
Yeah, a ton of work on this 13. Johnny Sauter's still there in the driver's seat. I talked to his crew chief, Joe Shear. He said they broke the input shaft of the transmission. If that sounds a bit odd, Joe Shear agrees with you. Says it's something he hasn't seen in decades. They are replacing the transmission. They're replacing the clutch. A lot of work just to get it back on the track, guys.
Yeah, that's the transmission. That's that input shaft right there. It's broken in half. That input shaft should be about twice as long as it is.
We had a great on board.
You can see the heat. You can see the discoloration on that input shaft, and that shows excessive heat.
Under caution in stage 2. And for the second straight week, Sheldon Creed finds himself out front.
When I was driving down the back straightaway, I saw the fuel pressure just drop just below 20 pounds of fuel pressure, and all of a sudden, pit road speed, and it just blew, bah, bah, just started shutting off, and and then we came down pit road, put fuel in it, dropped the jack, and it was fine, and then just got to the end of pit road, it just started like running out of fuel again, but I didn't see the light come on or anything like that.
Back here at Kansas Speedway, the Gander Outdoors Truck Series under caution after Natalie Decker spun through the grass coming off turn 4 into the tri-oval. There's Natalie still sitting on the wall and collecting herself, having a chat with the crew members. She was okay until that truck got into the grass, and then it dug deep and took her for a ride.
Crew Chief Frankie Kerr, we talk about Stuart Friesen and his dirt racing prowess. Frankie's quite the dirt racer. You can see just bobbled on the bottom, loose. And Vince, she was in good shape, like you said, but unfortunately,
right there.
Yeah. And Tyler Dipple had given her some room. He wasn't right down on her door side drafting. He'd given her some room, but those trucks are really vulnerable to that spot there and losing that downforce on that rear of that truck.
And just think, I mean, even though this is an expensive lesson, she learned a lot there. She learned that you've got to be really careful and watch yourself. Try to get as low as you can when you're racing side by side in the corners so that you don't lose the aerodynamics.
And while Natalie is escorted to the care center, she'll have to go get checked out. Allen is with Johnny Sauter.
And as Johnny Sauter waits for the crew to fix the 13 truck, what'd you feel in there? We're looking at the transmission over here. It's not something we often see. What happened?
Yeah, no, I don't know if the input shaft broke off the front of the transmission or the clutch went out, but definitely not what we needed with our 10 to Ford F-150. Had decent speed. I felt like we were going to be all right. I felt like if we came in and made 1 or 2 adjustments, we'd have something to race with them, but didn't get that far. So just dig hard. These are the days that test you, in a lot of different ways. So can't thank everybody at ThorSport enough, and we'll just keep digging.
Makes last week's win all the more important, guys.
That's for sure.
And Vince, we were fortunate to be able to ride along with Johnny, and we saw the transmission. Phil, you pointed out the input shaft there, and we can listen to exactly what that sounds like when the transmission fails. I think Johnny kind of had a feeling something was going, probably a vibration right before rolled up the hill, and then you could hear the shaft break, and that ended it.
You remember when we were listening to Johnny in qualifying get off pit road, how it didn't sound clean as he got through the gears? I wonder would that have had any
Probably
bearing
not.
at all?
Just spinning the tires like that's fairly normal. And you spin the tires on restarts too. It's I think it's probably more than likely a part failure, and that just doesn't happen that often. In these trucks, especially the gears and transmissions are pretty bulletproof, but something went amok there. He's thinking it might have been the clutch that caused it, and that's what's left of the clutch. You see, that's where the input shaft is, through that spline part in the center of that clutch disc. And it may be, a transmission expert would probably be able to tell which came first, whether the clutch went out and the heat twisted that input shaft, or whether the input shaft broke first.
And I'll just be honest, Phil, I'm not that guy.
I'm not either.
I've felt them break before, and in fact, I broke a few, but never really understood exactly why it happened.
Well, you don't have to be an expert to look at that and say it's not good.
It's broke.
Yeah,
it's broke.
And Johnny Sauter, as has been mentioned already, just really makes that win last week at Dover all the more important, because you're going to have weeks where things just don't go your way. You get caught up in something, you have a mechanical issue, whatever the case may be, and you like to have one already in the pocket to take care of that and ease the pain.
Remember, at the very top of the show, we've showed our playoff standings, and there's more. Only 8 of our drivers will qualify for the playoffs, and there's more than 8 good trucks and drivers here running full-time in this series. So somebody's not going to make it. A couple guys aren't going to make it that we really feel like should.
And Harrison Burton is racing for his playoff life. One of those trucks we feel like can win a race any weekend. He needs a good run here tonight. And what a great running order we got. Sheldon Creed, we talked about him at the opening being a threat. He's leading this race. Ross Chastain, top 10 every week this year. He's going to try to do it again.
Sheldon Creed was outside the playoff picture when this night began as well. Now he finds himself up front with Ross Chastain on the inside as we restart halfway through stage 2. And as they come to green, it's a McDonald's crank it up.
clear, 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 clear. All clear. Single foul on the back, coming right. One and a half to the 24. Run.
That's good stuff, isn't it? Those drivers racing inches apart, Vince, having to process what the spotters are telling them about clear. And sometimes it's just instinct. You got to get in a hole every now and then before you're cleared.
And you saw Infinger take the lead from Sheldon Creed. And I tell you what, Grant Infinger, they didn't qualify very well, but Grant told us before qualifying, I don't feel like we've got a pole truck, but we feel like we've got one that can win. And he's showing that he wasn't joking around. Those words coming to fruition.
He's not the guy that's qualified 13th that we said could not win.
yeah, that's exactly the guy.
Yeah.
No, we didn't say it. You said it.
I said that. Okay.
Creed has slipped back a couple of spots, and there's Stuart Friesen and Ross Chastain. They're all going to get real tired of one another before the end of the night, is my guess. They have been running close all night, that collection of trucks.
See Matt Craft in the bright yellow truck there behind these guys. He is electing to run the bottom of the racetrack. Had a good restart. Started on the pole, fell back, but I think Junior Joyner and the team made some adjustments. You can see that line Crafton's running now.
Infinger, Friesen, and Moffitt 1, 2, 3 with Sheldon Creed in that 2 truck, and right behind him the green numbered machine of Ross Chastain.
That was a good run by Moffitt. I'm not sure he's going to be able to clear Friesen. He might have to go up there and try to clear them both to get in line.
What about this battle for the lead? Right here in the middle of this race, and these guys are racing like it's the last lap.
Chastain, he is strong tonight. He continues to pressure inside that top 5. Has led a few laps tonight, 1 to be exact, but it seems like he's led more. He's right up there in the front, has been knocking on the door, currently runs 5th. And here's Friesen taking a look at Infinger.
Oh, and then Creed gets loose inside of Moffitt, and here comes Chastain again.
Love this battle. These guys are going at it hard.
Watch the crossover. Does he do it? Which way? Oh. Those guys were basically driving each other's trucks. Weren't they just trying to figure out which way the other guy was going?
We saw a situation like that. Just really took Brett Moffitt out of contention with one of the best trucks at Texas a few weeks ago.
Oh, and Creed nearly got into the wall there, Mike.
That's just getting the nose gets light on the corner sometimes when you're in traffic like that. Looked like the front end went and then the back end, you almost hit the wall.
We showed you a few moments ago Natalie Decker being taken to the medical center. She has been checked and released.
It's mandatory once you once you're taken out of a race by an incident. It's mandatory that you go for a checkup at the infield care center.
The 18 is Harrison Burton, and the 99 is Ben Rhodes. That's for 10th.
What about right behind him? A couple of our youngsters racing. That's the 12 of Gus Dean, and he's battling with Riley Herbst just outside of the top 10.
Kyle Busch Motorsports has won this race here in Kansas the last 3 years. Last year it was Noah Gregson. Right now, the 4 KBM trucks, 8th through 14th.
And I don't think that's very satisfactory for the KB in that Kyle Busch Motorsports. He expects those trucks to be right up front. They're struggling here tonight, but still got a lot of racing left to go. Get the right adjustments and get up toward the front.
We saw Brandon Jones, the 51 truck, spin earlier, got back, got the free pass, got back on the lead lap now, back up into the top 15. I think Stuart Friesen could make that pass work on the high side. If he could get that nose on the outside of Grant Enfinger, he's having a hard time trying to get underneath him.
Friesen continues to chase Enfinger at Kansas. He's led the most laps, and he is out front again. Stuart Friesen, hoping that tonight is the night he gets his first career win in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. While we were away, he took the lead from Grant Enfinger. It wasn't easy, but he wrestled it away from the 98.
He did it the hard way, too. He did it on the bottom. He'd been trying and trying, and then it looked like he was going to try to make it on the outside, but he was able to finally make that pass work on the bottom.
And when he went by Enfinger, so did Brett Moffitt there in the 24 truck. In the last couple of laps, he's been able to match the lap times of Stuart Friesen out in the lead, so these guys are having a good tussle.
Harrison Burton and Ben Rhodes battling for 10th, and of course 10th represents that final stage point. Burton was 9th in stage 1. Came into this race tonight in that final playoff position.
You know, people are now starting to understand how important these stage points are. We came into this race, and our top 4 in stage points accumulated this year were only separated by 4 points. Brett Moffitt had the most stage points coming into this race with 61. Johnny Sauter with 57 was 4th on that list.
And I know we're a long way yet from the playoffs beginning, but believe me, these teams are keeping an eye on their position and trying to strengthen their hold on every single spot they have and the opportunity to secure a playoff spot if by chance they don't win a race and have to get in on points.
Vince, after Charlotte next week, we'll be halfway through our regular season.
I like the adjustments they've made on this Ford truck. Phil, Todd Golan's really moving up. You can see him going around the 16 here of Austin Hill. It's like Hill's fading a bit. Hermie, what are they saying in the 16 pit?
You know, they've been struggling a little bit for most of the day, especially practice, Michael. And Austin Hill told me first practice this morning they were really loose. Made a few small adjustments. Second practice they were really tight. Well, now they're back on the loose side with the 16, so they need another adjustment to get this truck back snug where he can really manhandle this truck. Also, a little bit of a concern, trash on the grill of the 16, so a timely caution for Austin Hill.
Remember, his tires are a little bit older than the guys he's racing against, because he pitted on that caution before the end of stage 1.
Yeah, and it's the final lap now as Stuart Friesen crosses the line. Final lap in stage 2. Radio for Matt Crafton.
Literally shaking so bad I can't see the lines on the track. No immediate pressure. He's about 10 back.
Just hanging on, I think, Phil, surviving to the end of the stage. And, you know, you talked about those tires on the Hill truck. Remember how much difference they made when he got those fresher tires, was able to move right through the field. So he's giving a little bit up right now. Gets 4 on that truck. He could become competitive again.
And here comes Stuart Friesen doing it again, winning the stage. Friesen's second stage win of the night. Battling for those final stage points. Ankrum in the 17, Rhodes and Burton 99 and 18. Who's going to get it? Rhodes gets the final stage point, and Burton outside in 11th. The first time in his Truck Series career that he swept the stages in a race. Can Stuart Friesen now finish the job? Can he get his first win of his career?
Over.
Back here at Kansas Speedway, and you look at the points accumulated tonight. Stuart Friesen, winner of both stages, stage 1 and stage 2. 7 different leaders tonight. It has been exciting all over the racetrack.
Can't afford a mistake here, Phil, late in the race. The pit crew's got to be perfect. The driver cannot speed, got to get into that box just like he's supposed to.
Friesen leads that long line, and you see drivers starting to peel off, hitting their pit boxes. Hermie Sadler is there awaiting the 98 of Grant Enfinger.
Vince Grant likes the balance of the 98. He wants an air pressure adjustment to maybe not be quite as good on the start, but better at the end. Also a track bar adjustment and fuel for the 98, Alan.
Stuart Friesen in the middle of your screen in the 52 truck. His crew chief, Trip Bruce, praising his patience. Remember, the 52 started in some traffic and still won that stage. 4 tires, no adjustments for the 52. Brett Moffitt on the bottom of your screen says he can't carry any of his speed into turn 3. That's where he is losing ground on the leader of Stuart Friesen. He wants a 4 tires and an air adjustment on the left front.
Great pit work by Matt Crafton's bunch.
Yes.
Junior Joyner's bunch gains him a couple spots on pit road.
Austin Hill gets 4 tires, fresh tires, picks up the spot. He could be a real story here late in this race.
See, Ross Chastain finished finished 4th in that second stage and lost a couple spots. Let's see if we can chat with Ross. Hey, Ross, Phil Parsons and the boys in the Fox booth, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Ross, I'm telling you, we've been marveling at the racing out there. It looks like it's a blast, and you're making some pretty aggressive moves out there. You got enough maybe to get that thing up front at the end?
Well, I'm not sure. Our True North Chevy hasn't good. It's been pretty loose. Then we got tight that run, so you got to be aggressive. Clean air is everything. I mean, yeah, I think so. Thoughts become things. I honestly do. Just need a couple things to go our way here. I really, obviously everybody does, but I really want to win this race or just win. I just want to win for Al Neese and everybody and my whole team. So I think so.
All right, buddy. You've been fun to watch. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, thank you.
Chastain, one of those 7 leaders that we've mentioned. Watch that race off pit road. A couple of them have gotten penalties. Tyler Ankrum and Sheldon Creed.
I don't know what that spark was. It was coming from behind the seat, just kind of like floating around up. I don't know if it was the blower or not. It was still kind of doing it. I think it's been doing it since the get-go now, but none of them notice it more. That spark it was coming from behind the seat, just kind of like floating around up. I don't know if it was the blower or not. It was still kind of doing it. I think it's been doing it since the get-go now, but none of them notice it more.
Back at Kansas Speedway, getting ready for the final stage of tonight's race. Matt Crafton and company getting it done on pit road. The Xfinity fastest pit stops helped Crafton pick up a couple of positions.
Absolutely. Stuart Friesen came in with the lead, so he was able to keep it.
How about this? The last 2 years here at Kansas, the driver that's swept stage 1 and 2 has gone on to win the race, and Kyle Busch did it a couple of years ago. Noah Gragson did it last year, swept both stages, won the race. Stuart Friesen has now swept both stages. Can he finish the job and win the race?
That's a great question, Vince. We've seen this team, Stuart, have problems closing. He's certainly in a position to do it tonight, but closing's been the issue for this team.
Let's look at last year at Kentucky Speedway. Had this issue with the lead, stalls the truck in pit lane.
And that was the difference right there between winning the race and losing the race.
At Michigan, the fuel man pushed the truck away, and you're not allowed to do that. Texas, speeding on pit road. Well, they got to keep their fingers crossed tonight, don't they, Alan?
They really do, and they're dissecting every single part of this restart. Really, the only weakness Stuart Friesen has had tonight. At one point said, damn, I suck on these restarts. So you know it's in his head, wants to get that victory. A lot of discussion which lane to take right now. They thought about the inside, and they were worried about the driver in third taking him 3 wide and the 52 having to block. Then they found out they had Crafton behind them. Worried about Crafton going high and making it 3 wide on the outside. A lot of discussion. You could see he's settled on the outside. They hope to just drive away from everyone behind him.
Yeah, and Alan, if you watch these restarts, he should be worried about every bit of that because that's exactly what we've seen all night long.
Maybe the third row, too, we should worry about them.
I was going to say, I don't think it matters who's behind him. They're all coming, that's for sure. Well, it's the final stage. Friesen on the outside as he is selected, and Grant Enfinger on the inside. And we are back racing the green, waving at Kansas.
Look at that push. Brett Moffitt on the back of Grant Enfinger. Can it get Enfinger ahead of Friesen?
Great job by Stuart Friesen, gaining that advantage back on the high side.
Side by side, it's Enfinger down low, Friesen up top for the lead. Just underway, final stage.
Oh, he's right on his door. That's so hard to hang on to it when a driver crowds you down like that.
That's Moffitt and Crafton right behind them side by side. Austin Hill and Ross Chastain in the third row side by side. And Enfinger gets ahead. Can he close the door and finish the pass? And he does. Grant Enfinger in front.
Now we'll have to think about that for that next restart. The leader will. Do I want the inside or do I want the outside? We saw the outside not work that time for Stuart Friesen.
What about that white truck there on the left of our screen? That's Brandon Jones. Started in the back, has fought his way up to the 7th position.
Yeah, how about Jones? He started 21st after poor qualifying, spun, brought out the yellow, went to the back, and here he has come back through again inside the top 10. Good point, Mike.
Up on the outside, Ross Chastain. Like we're accustomed to seeing, but these guys up front, I'm starting to like that bottom more and more, Phil.
I am too.
Austin Hill, I think, as sporty as he's been since we saw him win at Daytona. He's been up in the mix, currently runs 4th.
Yeah, he got off to a great start, did Hill, in that 16 truck. As you see, Friesen trying to fend off Brett Moffitt. And while he's fending him off, he's going to go try to grab some of that lead off Grant Enfinger.
Yeah, Brett grabbed that second spot for a moment, and then Friesen went and got it back.
Great run for Enfinger tonight, Hermie.
Yeah, Vince, and crew chief Jeff Hensley said something really interesting on the radio just prior to this restart. He said, our truck is not trimmed out as much as the other trucks we're racing for this win. That's Jeff Hensley on the right-hand part of your screen. So, Michael, Phil, what does this mean when he's saying, basically he's saying if we can hold on and get into the late run here on these tires, we should have a better shot. But he's talking about the trim of his trucks compared to the 24 and the 52. What does he mean?
He was talking, we talked a little bit about it during qualifying, that you can add a little more downforce to these trucks. You can set this truck up, and it's not something that you can really undo and do before qualifying. And it may be a situation where he has a little bit more downforce dialed in this truck, and that's why he didn't qualify up in the top 10. But he's going to rely on that when he gets into this race here like he is now. That's why he wants to be able to maintain this lead while they have fresh tires and everyone's really good, because that should be an advantage as they get more laps on the tires. As we watch Stuart Friesen get so close to the wall. Does he get it?
Maybe just with the tires a little bit. Saw a black mark down the bottom of the wall. I don't think enough to hurt anything.
Cost him a little bit of momentum, though, and gave Moffitt an opportunity to pull up beside him and threatened to pass, but I think Friesen's going to end up holding him off.
This is just great battling. These guys trying to figure out what lane, how they can make ground on Enfinger, because if that's indeed the case, that Enfinger truck will just get stronger and stronger as this race goes along. But we got another pit stop in this stage, guys. So many things can happen. We talked about the trouble earlier for this Friesen group on pit road late in the race. Money stop could be the difference maker here tonight.
And I was talking to Grant Enfinger earlier today in the garage. You know, they've got 4 top 5s, he said, but I just don't feel like we've had quite what it takes to win. We're just missing a little bit of something. And he said, I think it comes from all parts of our game. And even though we've seen them running up front for quite a bit tonight, in fact, leading 18 laps, we'll see if they've still got enough to finish the job, close the deal, and get that first win of the season. If you run in the top 5 enough, you're eventually going to get one. Enfinger and Friesen both hoping that tonight's their night. The battle continues at Kansas Speedway. Grant Infinger, Stuart Friesen, and Brett Moffitt.
That looks exactly like it did when we went away to commercial break.
Yeah, but a lot of things happened in between there, but
did.
they've settled right back into the same spots. Moffitt challenging on the inside, and Friesen coming up to the backside of Grant Infinger and giving it a look. I mean, these three have been going at it all night long. Sheldon Creed was up there for quite a while. Creed on the last pit stop was penalized for an uncontrolled tire. Tyler Ankrum was penalized for too fast exiting, and that's going to hurt them tonight. Creed is back to 11th. Ankrum is 13th. But the action has been crazy all over the racetrack, and it's really lent itself this racetrack because of the fact you can run top, bottom, in between.
I can't pick a favorite out of these three trucks right here. Whoever has the lead obviously has the advantage, but I'm not sure that if Stuart Friesen was able to get by Grant Infinger, that it wouldn't be the same situation with the roles reversed.
Yeah, because of the big hole the truck punches in the air, you're able to draft up to him. I think right now maybe Infinger is the third best of these three trucks, but he's got that lead and he's doing a nice job of running that high line and giving those guys very little opportunity to get there.
I'd say the driver with the lead has the advantage.
Well, I think so too, for sure.
He may not stay out there, but I like his advantage being in the front.
But
I know exactly what you mean, for sure.
He better be precise, though, because these guys are gnawing at his tailgate.
We've seen a couple times where Stuart Friesen tried to stick that nose on the outside of Grant Infinger, and I think if he ever did that, he might get the advantage and get by him, but Grant has done a nice job keeping that truck just wide enough to keep those guys behind him.
And while we focus on these three, Ross Chastain is just back about a half a second behind Moffitt, a second or so behind Moffitt in fourth.
He's actually closed in a little bit. He was almost 3 seconds behind a few laps ago. He's gained about a second of that deficit. There he is right there in that True North truck.
And he's close enough now to pick up that draft, and it just really helped him keep continuing to close that gap. And you can see running right out next to the outside wall.
We've talked about it in previous races, and I know on the Cup and Xfinity side as well, but Ross Chastain has run every race in all three of the National Series here, NASCAR, Cup, Xfinity, and trucks. And 27 races.
Yeah, coming into this,
yes.
coming into the night.
So now 28
exactly, yeah.
tonight, and he'll, of course, run the Monster Energy Cup race tomorrow night. And that is a record to start a season, the most races in all three of NASCAR's major series.
What about our man Todd Gilliland? He's having a nice run tonight, Phil.
Really solid night.
Fell back a little bit early in the race, but I think the adjustments they made to that Ford truck now are working. He's battling for a spot inside the top 5 and some really good lap times.
Yeah, I think Marcus Richmond made some nice changes on that Ford truck during this race here and got him up battling for this top 5, Hermie.
Yeah, and really, really close, as you guys say. But the consistent complaint from Todd Gilliland tonight has been too free on entry. He cannot go from the wall, make that late arc, and turn the wheel left and go right to the center of the corner. But as you can tell, as he passes the 16, that is the one area they've gained the most ground tonight, and it's showing up on the track.
Yeah, it's just impressive. He isn't messing around. He catches a guy and passes him, and that's hard to do, as we've seen up toward the front. But get a good pit stop here late. The Ford truck could be a part of this battle for the lead.
Sheldon Creed getting into the wall a lap or so ago. Wow, that's
pretty significant there.
It is.
I'm afraid what it did maybe was cave that right front end, which will take away some of his aerodynamic downforce on the front end. But it's currently running 11th. Last time by about a second off the pace, though, because of that contact.
Creed's led a dozen laps tonight, and that's on the heels of leading almost 60 laps last week at Dover, but at a penalty, as we noted earlier. A penalty this evening for an uncontrolled tire on the last pit stop.
Great shot there by our camera folks of that right front. You could see and that sparks is probably a result of bending that right front corner of that truck down. Be lucky if he doesn't blow a tire. That's certainly a possibility you'll have to feel for.
Grant Infinger continues to lead the way. Plenty of excitement tonight and plenty more to come from Kansas.
that dumb, Phil.
Creeping up on 50 to go here in Kansas. Grant Enfinger continues to hold on to the lead. Stuart Friesen right behind in second. Brett Moffitt just a little bit further back in third. And they've all got to stop again, so another pit stop coming.
Yeah, we're in our window right now. If the caution flag were to come out right now, I think everybody would come to pit road, put their last set of tires on, and race to the end.
Have you noticed that one of our top 3 or 4 is any better than the other in the long run?
Well, I see Grant being able to drive away a bit. As soon as I think that maybe the downforce, Phil, that you talked about that could be built into that truck is paying dividends, then here comes Friesen. It's like he cools his tires for a couple laps and is able to make a run. They've separated themselves from Brett Moffitt, though, so I think, possibly the 52 might have the best truck, but it's just a perfect job.
Back position.
Yeah, perfect job of positioning that 98 right where 52 wants to be.
There's Matt Crafton, Brandon Jones, Riley Herbst. That's 8th, 9th, and 10th.
How about young Riley Herbst? This is an awesome run for him. Right up there battling inside the top 10, and looks like maybe one of the faster trucks in the second half of that top 10.
First start of the season for the 20-year-old from Las Vegas.
And all these guys last pitted on lap number 83, and that leaves 84 laps to the end. You can maybe short pit, maybe cut it in half and try to pit around lap 40 on your tires and maybe have your fresher tires for a little bit longer. You can go a little farther than that. You can go probably 10 laps farther than that. But maybe one of our 3 trucks running up front, do we want to gamble, pit just a little bit early and have a little bit fresher tires than some of the other guys?
I wouldn't pit right now because this 2 has bounced off the wall again, and that could mean that right front tire is even that much closer to going down. He's having some issues for sure.
Yeah, if we get about 3 more laps, and that's going to be splitting it right down the middle, and the remaining part of this race is you see him.
He didn't hit it as hard as last time.
No.
Oh, look at that debris from the wall fly up. What a recovery for Brandon Jones, though, right? Had that terrible qualifying effort, about spun out in qualifying, and then Bobby darn did spin out in the race. And now he's battling with Matt Crafton. Looks like a better truck than Matt right now as he's trying to take over the 8th position.
That was a great run through the center and off the corner over there. See all the momentum it gained him, and it looks like he's going to be able to clear Matt Crafton.
Crafton won the pole earlier today in qualifying, led the first 8 laps of the race before Stuart Friesen took the lead from him. Friesen has led the most tonight, 53 laps. And then it's Grant Enfinger who has led 45 and is currently out front.
Remember, neither of our 3 contenders for the win running up front right now has been to victory lane yet this year. Grant Enfinger, Stuart Friesen, or Brett Moffitt. Does one of those guys want to gamble, pit a few laps early and use that time they're going to gain? And once everyone else comes to pit road, that time they gain should be enough to put them, leapfrog maybe those guys and put them up front. I don't think Grant Enfinger leading the race would be the guy to take that gamble, but maybe Jerry Baxter, Brett Moffitt come in a few laps early.
Or Trip Bruce and Stuart Friesen. They make that call. It's a gamble, Phil, but you're right. We see how important it is to be the lead truck. You come in, get those fresh tires, run off some good laps, but the driver has to be very aggressive getting on and off of pit road without obviously making a mistake, as we see Johnny Sauter's return to the track here. But you can make so much time up getting to the timing line, entering pit road, and then maximizing your speed exiting. So does the driver make a difference in this equation? Heck yes, he has to do his job perfectly.
Enfinger continues to lead the way. Enfinger has won before. He's got a couple of victories to his credit, but he has not won this season, even though he has been runner-up. In fact, 4 top 5s for Enfinger. And his teammate at ThorSport, Ben Rhodes, the first one on pit lane. And now Enfinger is slowing, and he's going to come to pit road as well, getting it woed up. He doesn't get that speeding penalty.
You could see how hard he wanted to get down to that pit road speed. Great entry there by Enfinger.
4-tire stop as expected for Rhodes. You'll see the same from Enfinger, and Hermie Sadler's there waiting on him.
Vince, he started neutral on this run. It got to a 1.5 to a 2 tight at the end of that run. It's going to be 4 tires. No adjustments this time. They'll make their changes with air pressure to try to minimize time on pit road. A little bit slow on the right side to get the left side down. The 88 also on pit road. Alan?
Matt Craft is coming in the pits right now. Have been complaining about a vibration through much of the night. They think they have that solved. 4 tires, or at least a call for 4 tires on the 88 truck. As we look at the 52 now coming in for what should be his final pit stop. 4 tires for the 52 is the call. Too tight though, he says, late in the run. Stuart Friesen trying to get his first career win, Hermie.
Austin Hill with the 16 truck is on pit road. He says he needs more overall grip. It's going to be 4 tires for this truck as well, and air pressure adjustment for Austin Hill.
These pit stops seemingly going off without a hitch. Good stops by most of the teams. Just have to make sure one of the drivers didn't overdo his job and get a speeding penalty.
Brett Moffitt on pit road as well.
Allen is there.
And Brett Moffitt coming in just saying he's way too tight, and it's tight at the worst times when he is trying to pass other trucks on the track. He says he can't get through the corner when he gets close to another truck on the track. 2 tires on the right side as they come around to the left side, trying to fix that tight condition for Brett Moffitt.
Phil, you see how choreographed these stops are. Every team member has to be precise to get those tires around to the other side of the truck to be able to change those tires. This is just awesome to watch these athletes perform down on pit road.
Harrison Burton in the 18. Just want to make sure you don't have any sort of a miscue during, well, left the wrench in. You want to make sure you don't have any kind of a miscue during any of these stops. The 17 of Ankrum is in. Hermie.
This truck started on the front row. Been fighting a little bit of a loose condition for the most part tonight. A little bit better on this last run. They're done with the right side. They mentioned briefly a 2 tire stop, but it will be 4. A little bit slow on the right side. 17, Tyler Ankrum, and air pressure adjustment on the left side. He's down and away.
Green flag stops at this point have come and gone without any issues of significance regarding penalties.
You know, it's interesting, Vince, we talk about the driver, the crew, the job that everyone has to do, but you can make up the most time, you can make up seconds getting on and off of pit road of the driver is if you maximize. And man, look at the advantage after pit stops Friesen has over Grant Enfinger. It's over 6 seconds.
And here's why. Take a look at this stop.
Routine on the right side.
And off he goes.
It looked like the team had tires on the wall to have 4 tires, but Friesen left.
4 tire stop. We're going to figure out how much fuel we got in it right now too. So just keep it moving for right now. The last thing we're going to do is put under green. Sorry, I could have sworn you said 2 and you didn't remind me when I was coming down.
And you heard it there. Confusion between the driver and the crew. Stuart Friesen taken off after what was supposed to be a 4 tire stop. They're trying to figure it out now. Again, he has the lead. He has a 5.4 second lead on the 98 of Grant Enfinger. They're trying to figure out how the rest of this race plays out. Remember, on 2 tires, you don't get the same amount of fuel as you would have with 4, so they need him to save fuel right now.
And remember, we just showed you a clip of miscues from a year ago that kept Friesen from scoring that first win. Is this another one? Phil, could they have gotten enough fuel in with just 2 tires?
What the crew chiefs told me is you need 8 gallons of fuel during this last stage. And right side tires is enough time to get 8 gallons of fuel in, but those guys down on pit road can measure that fuel can. They'll know exactly how much fuel they got in that truck on that pit stop.
We're hearing from the crew chief, Trip Bruce, they think they might be 3 or 4 laps short. How much can he save, Phil? Stuart Friesen right now about a 5.5 second lead. Last time by, his time was comparable to the 4 tire. The 4 tires that Grant Enfinger got behind him, but he's going to have to roll out of that gas and give up a lot of this lead if they indeed do need to save 3 or 4 laps of gas.
And there's enough time left that he can definitely save those 3 laps of tires in 34. But can he keep the lead doing it?
Wow. The drama continues to build. Going to break, but we're going to keep on trucking. You won't miss a lap.
Guys, keep it rolling here. Caution's out. Nothing coming on them.
You saw it all. Second place battle between Brett Moffitt and Grant Enfinger ends up with Moffitt going around, caution coming out, Enfinger maybe even glancing the wall, and Stuart Friesen and his crew chief Trip Bruce with an opportunity to save some fuel.
Yeah, and right now, yeah, flat tire 98.
Yeah.
And remember, they've used their last set of tires too, so
you got to watch. I mean, this is crazy because those two tires on Friesen, he doesn't have the speed that some of those guys chasing him have.
Wow, so now the 98 and the 24 with issues. Hermie on the 98.
Yeah, Vince, Enfinger knew it right away. As soon as we saw the 24 spin, Grant Enfinger radioed Jeff Hensley, says, I've got a flat, so they're going to put two left side tires only. All they got left, really, and it'll be some they've re-glued from earlier tonight, put on the left side of this 98.
yeah, I think the only truck that has any new tires left is Stuart Friesen's left sides that he took off before they could put on.
So Moffitt is on pit road after the spin.
He's gonna.
And Friesen is coming to pit road, but not quite there yet. You see on the right-hand side of the screen.
Enfinger to pit road. Brett's going to be fortunate if he doesn't lose a lap. They get away there. Just put the flat, replace the flat tires, not to go a lap down.
So this allows Friesen to save some fuel, but just with those two tires, is that going to be enough now on the restart to be able to hold off some of these guys that have four?
Well, I saw some great lap times out of Todd Gilliland in that Ford truck.
Absolutely.
And we know Ross Chastain's had a good truck all night long. Todd Gilliland actually ran his fastest lap of the night just 6 laps ago, and he was making some good progress. So I think Stewart's problems may be less about gas now and more about the competition.
But I don't think he can come in and put those tires on now. You give up too much track position. Too many trucks on the lead lap.
Well, and if there's anybody that needs a big night, it's Todd Gilliland. Gilliland's had the fire. He's been on the hot seat. 3 straight finishes outside the top 10. His average finishing position 13th. I mean, he needs a good finish. Now all of a sudden he's in position maybe to win this race. The critics and get his first career win.
But think about this, Vince. We just saw an experienced racer in Brett Moffitt slide sideways and go around trying to make that pass down on the bottom. Does Todd Gilliland have the ability, the patience? Does he have the opportunity to get down low, make a pass, and not make a mistake like we saw Brett make there?
Well, both these guys are both fortunate that they've even been able to continue, because that could have been one of those accidents that took both of them out and sent them to the garage.
Yeah, disastrous. But remember, neither one of these guys had any fresh tires left. As Hermie reported, they had to put tires on that they had already run and taken off in this race. It was a great save by Grant Enfinger.
And Brett Moffitt to keep it out of the outside wall. You could see him just hammering the throttle right here when it goes around sideways. He knows if he stays in the gas, it's the best chance to drive it away from that outside wall, and that's exactly what he did.
So if either one of these, both of these drivers, Moffitt and Enfinger, had to put on tires that have already run, they've already had on during this previous stage, so they're not going to be great either. It's not like they've just bolted on 4 fresh Goodyears.
We got some hungry hounds right behind Stuart Friesen, though, on some better tires. Ross Chastain, Todd Gilliland, Austin Hill. We've talked about that 16 truck just getting better and better all night long. He finds himself right up there along with Ben Rhodes.
So Friesen has never won. Chastain has never won. Todd Gilliland has never won.
Anybody else in our league or what? Lap time wise, no. Right then you were running the kind of laps you need to run to win the race, you know, here and there. We were just trying to back you down and keep the gap that would make it. This is the most important thing, is saving the fuel right now, but I still think you got plenty of speed. Good clean restart, clean air lead is your best friend here, you know.
Yeah, and just remember how important we've seen all night long that lead position B, and Stuart Friesen knows that. He's been trying to steal the lead away from Grant Enfinger. Now he has it.
And remember, Alan reported earlier that Stewart said about himself that I'm really horrible on these restarts. He needs the restart of his life coming up here.
And he's going up against one of the most aggressive racers on the track in Ross Chastain in that 45 truck. Ross doesn't care, I guarantee you, whether Stewart gives him the top or the bottom. He's going to be hammered down no matter where he puts him.
And Ross doesn't care that Stewart hasn't won a race and he needs to win one.
Yeah.
He doesn't care at all.
Ross is tired of hearing about all the races he runs. He wants to talk about the race that he just won, and that could be tonight. This is a great story for that Al Neese team there, the 45 truck of Ross Chastain. We know how close Friesen has been week in and week out. All of the stories up in the top 10. Todd Gilliland with the struggles this season, he's in a position to win. And then the Daytona winner, Austin Hill, trying to prove that he is championship worthy to be able to talk about that TRD 40th year anniversary truck going to victory lane on a consistent basis, just like it did a year ago.
That's the championship team from a year ago, crewed by Scott Zeppedelli. As Brett Moffitt was in that ride last year en route to the 6 wins and the championship. Now it's Austin Hill in the 16. He debuted in that truck by winning at Daytona. Pretty nice way to get things rolling.
Yeah. Remember, all old hot tires on every one of these trucks for this restart.
And back in the back with Brett Moffitt, he's got fresher tires, but what's that mean? They're older tires, but at least they're cool. Can he make a move with those tires?
Enfinger will restart 9th. Moffitt will restart 11th. There will be 24 to go when they take the green at the line. And remember, some nerves working in that 52 camp, not only because of the 2 tires, but the fuel situation. So it's Friesen on the outside, Ross Chastain on the inside. Green is out, back racing at Kansas.
Give the advantage to Chastain on that launch. He's got a nose out in front of Friesen.
Look at Ben Rhodes make the move up to 3rd already.
Chastain and Friesen side by side for the lead. And here comes Rhodes. Ben Rhodes looking around the outside.
Ross Chastain battling that 45 truck to keep it from sliding sideways.
Friesen closes the door, has the lead.
Only his experience kept that truck from getting out from under him.
Oh, Chastain trying to block Rhodes from getting that second spot. Thwarted the momentum.
You guys are pulled away from everybody.
I don't think they're going anywhere. I said hungry hounds, and that's what it looks like to me. Nobody's going to give anything up here this late.
Friesen leads, Chastain second. That's Ben Rhodes in third.
Boy, Ross Chastain is right there with Stuart Friesen.
No opportunity to save fuel now if you're Stuart Friesen, that's for sure.
He needed to do that saving during that caution flag.
I'm just wondering if he could save that much. I mean, you save 3 or 4 laps, you're getting into 10, 12 miles.
That's a lot of saving.
Those guys ran the exact same lap time that last time within a 100th of a second.
How about Brett Moffitt? You talked about the fact they didn't have fresh tires to put on. The second stage is the shortest stage, and those were the tires they put on after Moffitt spun. They put on the tires that he had run during stage 2 tonight. As did Infinger, by the way. Oh, saved by Chastain, and Rhodes gets around him. So does Crafton and Gilliland.
What about Crafton? He's going to be able to get around Rhodes, isn't he, with the momentum?
Look at all the momentum that Ross Chastain lost by getting sideways.
Gander outdoors, 20 to go. 20 left at Kansas, and the caution is out.
Got one on the exit of pit road entrance.
You know what Stuart Friesen gets for that great restart he had and takes the lead?
Gets to do it again?
Yes, he does, because the 33 truck of Josh Rayom has stalled or nearly stalled down in turn 4. NASCAR had no choice but put the caution out, and we get to line it up and do it all over again.
It allows Friesen to save a little more, but at the same time, now he's got to do it again on the restart, right? I mean, you don't know which is positive and which is negative. Watch Chastain save it here.
He had the hammer down, didn't he? Look at him get completely sideways, just like he did at Dover last week, and saved it.
What is he thinking right there, Phil? Okay, how about stop sliding now? Wow, I've never seen a better save than that. That is incredible.
He's creating his own highlight reel week to week.
How about that move by Ben Rhodes to go by on the inside and avoid that sideways Ross Chastain?
I can't tell if he was passing him or avoiding him.
Or some of both.
Matt Crafton snuck around Todd Gillen up there in turns 1 and 2.
How about this one last week from Chastain there in the red 45? Watch this. Ooh.
Phil, that's a situation where he got down in that hole and said, ooh, I don't think I belong here. And luckily he had enough talent to save that beautiful watermelon truck from damage.
He said, I have a bad angle getting in this corner here.
And that angle that he had off turn 2 was even worse than what we saw at Dover. And he was able to hang on. Awesome job of driving. Fun to watch.
Pits are open, but no one's got tires to come get, so they're going to stay out.
Update on Infinger and Moffitt, 7th and 10th, so no real progress there. But this restart will help them have another opportunity to grab some spots right off the get-go here.
You know, Friesen would have liked to have come and got a splash of fuel, but no one was going to let him go back to his spot.
I don't think so.
Hey, guys, can I just dive in for a quick splash and come right back here?
I'll be right back.
Let's find out what Alan's got going on down there.
I'm on the 52 pit box with crew chief Trip Bruce. Just told his driver he has enough fuel. You told Stuart he has enough fuel to make it to the end?
Yeah, we've saved fuel under the last caution. I mean, it was just a miscommunication on my part there, and he thought we were 2 tires and we were on a 4-tire stop, but things are still working out right in our favor. The Halmar Chevrolet is extremely fast. Stuart is just on point, focused all night, so got a few more laps here to close it out. That's what we're trying to do.
What was the confusion on the pit stop, and what was the confusion? How does everyone keep their head now?
Scheduled 4-tire stop, and we left at a 2-tire stop, so we didn't quite get enough fuel in. It was close, but not completely full. So at this point, we should be in good shape. Let him get a good restart here. So I'll sit back and watch.
We'll see what he can do. 18 to go.
I promise you, Vince, he's not that cool. There's no way Trip Bruce chasing that first win for this team and for Stuart Friesen has that much ice water running through his veins. He's putting on a good act, but there's a lot of concern about many different things right there.
Remember, he's a former championship crew chief here in this series with Johnny Benson back a few years ago.
Of course, we're coming to the closing laps of this one here tonight in Kansas. Next week, Charlotte. Can't wait. Home for a lot of these guys, and your guys, you two included.
Yeah, exactly.
Always crazy action at Charlotte.
Marcus Smith and his staff does such a great job for the 2 weeks we go to Charlotte.
It's All-Star Weekend, man.
It is.
It'll be a lot of fun the next couple of weeks in Charlotte with the All-Star race and the 600 the following weekend.
Do they give $1 million to win that All-Star race?
They do. They did in 1996, though. I can promise you that. But they did give a nice trophy, and I would have spent all that money anyway, so I still have the trophy.
You did spend the money.
You're right, I did. This is what it's all about right here. Late race restarts. Ben Rhodes, we saw how agonizingly close he was to victory here just a couple of years ago. Now he sees the prize right out his front windshield. Matt Crafton with an amazing rebound. Saw him outside the top 5 back in 7th or 8th most of this race. He's gotten himself into contention.
All these guys in the front 2 rows are saying to themselves, all I need is one amazing restart here, and I can get this lead.
Well, I just can't think that any of them are any hungrier than Todd Gilliland. I mean, everything that Gilliland has been through this season, and the amount of times that he's been questioned in regards to his performance, he's sitting there looking at his first career win 17 laps away. His crew chief Marcus Richmond on top of the box.
Only problem is there's a lot of heat ahead of him there, Vince, and he's got to get a perfect restart. If he gets a great restart, gives Friesen a push, that could propel him into the 2nd spot on that outside.
The green is out. Racing again at Kansas.
Teammates lined up on the inside row, Rhodes and Crafton.
Rhodes gets the nose out in front, but here comes Friesen back on the outside.
Here comes Gilliland with a big push down the back.
Big side draft by Ben
right
Rhodes.
in the middle is Ross Chastain, made it 3 wide, came right up the gut.
And Rhodes got loose, it looked like.
Friesen has the lead, and now it's Gilliland challenging Rhodes for 2nd.
Gilliland's going to take 2nd, and Austin Hill off the road around Matt Crafton.
Meanwhile, Chastain down on the white line, working the bottom.
Now, he just did that and about spun out. Hadn't slowed him down either, has it? He'll
Grant Enfinger has made his way back up into the mix.
Stewart's not getting away from him.
14 laps remaining. Stuart Friesen trying to secure his first career win. He's been runner-up 5 times, hoping that tonight will be his night.
Oh, that Chastain move down on the bottom where he nearly spun out a couple of laps ago, grabbed 2nd place away.
I was just sitting here thinking Stuart Friesen wants Ross Chastain, Todd Gilliland to run side by side. But look at the move that Chastain makes, almost gets up beside Friesen.
Now, Phil, his tires haven't gotten any better since he almost spun out. No. I mean, it's crazy how he heated them up, but yet he's still able to maintain that type of pace and running that same line where he got in trouble down low on the racetrack.
Austin Hill was challenging Rhodes for 4th. Meanwhile, Chastain right on the backside of Friesen and Gilliland on the bumper of Chastain.
This is the Todd Gilliland we saw winning K&N races and making his way to this series, and a couple of near misses a year ago getting to victory lane. Now he finds himself back where he's supposed to be in his eyes, right there contending for a win.
Just won the Talladega ARCA race here just a few weeks ago. Little shot of confidence.
Talked about how much that did for his confidence and let him know he could still do it. And right now he's got a chance to do it again for the first time in the Truck Series. But right now he runs 3rd to Ross Chastain and the leader, Stuart Friesen. And now Austin Hill pulls up alongside of Gilliland to challenge for third.
That 16 truck has been sneaky good tonight.
Yeah, he started the season with that big win in Daytona, 7th at Atlanta, then a couple of hiccups. Not the runs they were looking for a couple weeks in a row, but now he finds himself right back in contention.
Three-tenths of a second advantage for Friesen over Ross Chastain.
0.3 of a second, just one slip tire, Vince, and
blink of an eye. 10 to go.
Here comes the whole world, it seems like.
Yeah, well, we've seen it. I mean, you bobble one time and you're going to go from first to third, maybe fourth, just like that.
How about our top 3 trucks? None of them been to victory lane in the Truck Series. Trying to open the door in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series.
Those 2 cautions really saved Stuart Friesen, allowing him to save enough gas to get to the end, we think.
Thank you, Vince.
But Michael and I both looked at you, Vince, when you were saying that.
Oh, 3 wide as Rhodes is going to probe the middle. Can he get in? No. Close the door is Austin Hill, but Rhodes pushes his way through anyway. Wow.
I love the aggression on these drivers right now when it comes crunch time.
Got 2 spots. Rhodes went from 5th to 3rd.
That's amazing. Nice move. He's got his eye set on the tailgate of Ross Chastain up ahead. He made those 2 passes in a hurry.
And Chastain has closed it up now on Stuart Friesen as well. Remember just a few moments ago we were talking about 3 or 4 tenths of a second. Now it's under 2 tenths of a second. Friesen trying to hold off. This is the battle for 7th. Brandon Jones and Grant Enfinger. Back to the front. Coming to the line, there will be 7 laps remaining. Stuart Friesen and Ross Chastain battling, trying to get their first career win in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series.
Could Ross Chastain be saving a little bit right here just to make one last crazy run at Friesen? Taking care of those tires.
You see the most second place finishes without a win. Well, Stuart Friesen would like nothing more than to remove his name from. I don't want to see that on your telecast ever again.
Don't talk about it anymore.
Well, he's certainly not saving any gas now, Phil. He's just hammered down, trying to do all he can do to pull away from Ross.
He's led 31 laps since that round of pit stops, and he's run about 31 perfect laps, it looks like to me.
See Todd Gilliland with a run there to the high side of Austin Hill, but Hill did a nice job of heading him off going into the corner. You can see all 5 of these trucks well within touch of each other.
5 laps left for Stuart Friesen. Those 2 tires don't seem to be treating him any worse for the wear.
Ross Chastain is right there. It looks like almost like Ross, he maybe overheats his tires a little bit, backs off for a bit, and then chases him back down. We'll see if he can do that again. He's running out of time now, Michael.
Ross has got some company coming too. Ben Rhodes last time by a couple of tenths better than our leaders. So Ben's got some speed as we head toward 4 to go. There's that move by Gilliland. He's able to get to the outside of Hill that time. Sure, the spotters are telling Ross and Ben Rhodes and all there could be a fuel issue on that 52 truck. Be heads up in case that thing stumbles. Drama. Drama in the Midwest. I love it. This is fun. See, there he comes. Ross is closing, like you said, Phil.
Yeah, coming to
2 back here now.
3 laps left.
3.
I think it's
out of gas. Out of gas.
He is out of gas. He is indeed. And Ross Chastain has gone to the front. Friesen out of gas. Rhodes into second.
Another mistake on pit road has cost that 52 this win. Whether it was miscommunication, oh man.
Heartbreaking for Stuart Friesen.
And look at Ben Rhodes close on Ross.
Now does Ross Chastain have enough left in his truck? Has plenty of gas, but does he have enough speed to hold off Ben Rhodes with 2 laps remaining?
What a day this could be for Al Neese and Neese Motorsports.
Great look at Phil Gould, the crew chief for Ross Chastain. One lap remaining.
That team can taste it, can't they, Vince? You could just see the jubilation as they came by and got one to go. But Ben Rhodes continues to close.
5 others have scored their first career wins here at Kansas. Ricky Hendrick, John Wood, Eric Darnell, James Busher, William Byron, and tonight, Ross Chastain is going to add his name to the list. Ross Chastain bringing it to the line. He's going to win at Kansas.
Good job, Al. Thank you. It's over, right? Yes, sir, it is. Thank you so much, Al, Phil, Cody. Thank you, guys.
Listen to the emotion in the voice of Ross Chastain. You don't think winning means something? Wow.
Just a great story of what Ross has been able to accomplish in his career here in NASCAR. Struggled mightily to get here, and now he's a winner in the Truck Series.
And Hermes with his winning crew chief, Phil Gould.
Yeah, and it's always big for a win, but this entire team, the emotion, the work, everything you guys have put in, congratulations. What does this win mean to you in this race team?
Oh, man, it's huge. I mean, just a small team. You know, Al started, I don't even think he had a 7/16 transmission when he started. And these guys and girls worked their guts out. And just to see how excited they are makes me super excited.
How about the driver, Ross Chastain?
I can't even describe it. He's just amazing. He proves what he can do, and he's got something to drive. He can get the job done.
Big time win. Ross Chastain is going to victory lane.
What a thrill for this entire organization. The thrill for Chastain, but the heartbreak for the 52. Stuart Friesen out of gas, and his crew chief, Chip Bruce, agonizes.
You're creating tapestry.
Stuart Friesen led the most laps, was leading the race, and ran out of fuel. And it was the last pit stop. He came down, his team changed right side tires. He thought it was a 2-tire stop, and it was really a 4-tire stop. And when he made that move after those 2 tires, they just hadn't gotten enough gas in the truck, and it was the difference maker. Allen is with Stuart Friesen.
And that frustration, very understandable for Stuart Friesen. It came down to that last pit stop. Can you just explain maybe the confusion? Where did that come in on the last pit stop?
I don't know. Thanks to Halmar and thanks to Chevrolet for all they do for keeping us in this series. It was a dream come true to race this level, and thanks to Chris Larson for that. Just a bunch of miscommunication between me and Tripp, and it goes back to it just goes back a couple weeks right now. So we'll work on it and get better. We had a fast hot rod, so thanks to the guys that helped me out and all my great car owners that I drove for over the years that allowed me to get to this level. It's all thanks to them. So we'll be back.
You know you've got the speed. You know you're capable. Do you feel it's coming, the victory?
I have no idea. We'll keep working.
Stuart Friesen.
Well, it was there for the taking tonight, but it just, another example of how you have to finish the job in every facet of the challenge. And
Maybe
Ross
make a save like that, maybe?
Ross Chastain did it. He made that huge save with 20 to go. There's the pass as Friesen runs out of gas, and Chastain, you see the excitement coming to the line for his first career win. What a place to be. Victory Lane with Ross Chastain. That's where we find our friend Hermie Sadler.
And he hops out in what I would imagine would be a very, look at this, very jubilant Victory Lane. Ross, I don't know what to say. One of the best races I've ever seen. It's always big to win at this level of NASCAR, but to do it with a group of people like this, when you took that checkered flag, the emotion overtook this entire team, pit box, and now you. What does this one mean to you?
Oh man, this is what sports is all about. Comebacks, man. We had the world by the tail last fall, and everything got taken away from us. We didn't quit though. Watermelons are good. It's watermelon season in Florida. It's True North. Chevy, man, I'm out of breath. I'm going to celebrate this one a lot more than I did the last one. I thought after the last one they were going to come a lot more easy, but I know that it's not. It's so hard to win. And Cody, Fall, Al Neese, Phil, Lonnie, all these guys, such a small group that, yeah, all the guys at the shop, thank you guys. We get a lot of stuff from GMS, and they're our biggest competition, and I hate to see Stewie lose one like that. I know he's been trying to win, but yes, we got it.
Now, it looked like with about 30 laps to go. I know you're trying to win races and be able to highlight reel at the same time, but it looked like about 25 to go that your night was over. Can you explain how you do these types of things?
No, I don't know. That dang clear guard was coming up a couple laps before that, and it was flapping in my face. I didn't know where I was going. So, oh, man. I thought your brother was going to give me my biggest break in my career moving forward with everybody at Nutrient Ag Solutions. And what Elliot's done for me, he's helped keep me through the bad days, and thank you, Elliot. But man, this is sweet. Chip likes winners. Chip, I know you guys are locked out the front row at the Indy GP, but we won one in NASCAR. Dougie D, we did it, baby. Thank you, everybody. Josh Wise, I work with those guys. I work with Sheldon and Brett every week, and we're our biggest competition to each other. And they might out-pedal me on one of them little skinny bicycles, but we won one tonight.
Ross Chastain gets Nice Motorsports to Victory Lane.
What a night. And as he said, that's what sports is all about.